So, Amy, we're moving further down the road in our VR training buyer's guide, and I'm curious to know what you feel is the next most critical step for people to be thinking about as they go on this journey.
So I think typically what we find is that most companies think about a pilot. So as a new technology and it's a little bit unfamiliar, even though we do, our best to work with our partners and everyone to make it as easy as possible for them to drill down to the use case and the learning objectives. Typically, most companies want to start with a pilot, which makes a lot of sense, right? So they can start small, it's contained, there's less stakeholders, there's less moving parts. And it's generally something, again, that you can plot a clear ROI against because it's time bound, it's probably bound by the number of participants, it's usually like one title. And so you can pull all together the pieces of the ROI to make that internal case to get the pilot approved.
So we can talk about use case or making that internal use case argument in a second. Going back to the pilot piece, one of the things that we've worked with our clients to think about is where are your pain points? Let's not waste. This is oftentimes a new initiative at a firm, and you might only have one chance to make it right or to make it work and to be able to get people's time and energy around. And so we like to spend a lot of time up front to say, where is it that you need to improve? What are you not doing well in your training repertoire that needs improvement? And let's try to focus in there and try to make the case to use some immersive tech, to use some VR to help make that better. It's kind of cliche, but we like to say, this type of training or immersive tech and training, it's an aspirin. It's not a vitamin. Let's not take something we're doing already well and try to make it better. That borders a little bit onto technology for technology's sake, which seems cool and may seem fun, but doesn't ultimately deliver a business need. So we'd like to focus on where that pain point is, and really try to make sure that we're getting better in an area that the company and the client needs to get better at. Similar to what you say?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's training, right? So we're still talking about training. So it still needs learning objectives. You still need to really be clear on what do you need to improve. Is it a specific safety item? Is it a process that you need to train on? Think in terms of those very lower level detailed objectives that you want to make sure that you can track and train on. And then from there, I think it's a lot easier to build a business case.
One thing that goes kind of hand in hand with identifying a problem area is kind of measuring and having a sense of a quantitative value as to how poor are we doing. Let's measure a before case and make sure that we're seeing, we want to increase, efficacy by X percent, or we want to make sure that, whatever percentage number of our staff is be able to complete proficiency in 8 of these 10 steps or whatever the numbers might be. But just to be fairly concrete at the outset of what you're trying to improve on, it's important to measure first so that when you're able to apply that same filter on the new immersive component of the training, you can go back and remeasure. And then, as we'll get into in a moment here, to talk about making the case to a full-fledged program rollout, you have the comparison between the two, and you're able to say, yes, we were able to improve on these key metrics versus old way versus new way, and that can be very key to kind of making sure that building positive momentum and having some key wins early on.
Right. Yes, and I think one of the great things about immersive training is that you have the ability, since it's 3D space, to capture so much analytics. It really, our platform can handle up to 30 data points per second per user. We actually don't recommend capturing all that information, right? We want to really be tying back the information that you're gathering to your learning objectives. And so you can really produce some outstanding analytics, which you can, view in a dashboard, for example, inside the platform, or you can export it to a BI tool. But to your point, you want to make sure you're getting the ROI from the program, right? So you have to have the right use case. You have to have the right learning objectives. You have to identify the right employees that are going to benefit from the training, capture all of those things within sort of the business plan for your trial. And then it makes things a lot easier. And as well as when you start to think about it in those terms, you can also start to understand maybe some of the other departments that will need to be involved in this sort of pilot or program, and keep them informed of that from the beginning so that they bought in. And then again, at the end, it's a lot easier to secure budget.